Okay, so we can see they are coming down Wilshire Boulevard, I believe. Right there, that building with that outcropping up top, that's the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, right directly across from them is the law offices of Girardi, the guy who owns the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, those guys are coming out, jumping in their helos, and then it's the second group that comes out carrying the potentially biological high-value target. But they jump in, they get out, and then they take off. Now, here comes the stragglers. Now, the next group of choppers that are just coming up Wilshire Boulevard, these are the guys that are going to be carrying out that high-value target. They're going to land, and then they're going to bring it out. And then here comes round two. This is the second group of choppers. They're going to land right there, again, in front of the Guatemalan House of Culture. And this is that big boy. That big chopper with all that special stuff. These are an elite team right here. And here they come, carrying that high-value target. Wearing what people have told me they believe are biological suits. Now, my sources told me that this group of people, they are not performing the drill. The training is in Long Beach, and that's why the Long Beach stuff has come out from the media. This stuff right here was never meant to be filmed. It was supposed to be the real operation, while Long Beach was the distraction. Now, the Guatemalan House of Culture is apparently scheduled to be demolished next month. And the high-value target that they took out is supposed to be some type of Plan Z, like I've theorized in the past. Now, the guys doing this operation, this is supposed to be a private military unit that is controlled exclusively by the president. They took the best of the best special ops guys, they put them together, and they used the organization of this new Space Force that President Trump has created to align all of these guys, all of the best of the best special ops guys from all of these other places, and they brought them together, and the president is in control of all of them. Now, they are removing a high-value biological target that was meant to be inside that building when it was demolished. When that happened, it would have spread whatever it was, Ebola, something horrible. It would have spread it all across the city, and there would have been an outbreak here in America.
Low-flying choppers, loud explosions, a military exercise catching people by surprise tonight in downtown L.A.
Now, it was the Army. That's the group of the military service that was out here. We've heard that they were actually using some sort of simulated weapons fire. Definitely a lot of helicopters out here, and several neighborhoods were being used. We understand Silver Lake, downtown Los Angeles, that's what we're showing you right here, and Long Beach, all areas that were being supposedly some sort of urban assault training this evening. They actually reached out to the media, telling everybody that they were very thankful for being able to use some of the private property, and all the areas where they were training, everybody in that area was well aware of what was going on.
Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Flavius Maximus. Ladies and gentlemen, put on your possibility pants today because we're going to explore this aerial incident that happened the other day over the skies of downtown Los Angeles. Real military operation or just a practice run?
Posse Comitatus and military bases basically gave the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines all the space they possibly needed. We've got a lot of military bases in the United States. I, for one, did my basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, it's enormous. They have more than enough space to train, and yet they do it whenever they feel like it. In the middle, 10 o'clock at night in LA, helicopters flying around and blowing shit up.
Here's where it gets interesting. Buildings are owned by Thomas V. Gilardi. Most recent leaser is Eduardo G. Sanchez, Guatemalan House of Culture. Both are attorneys. Building is likely vacant as there are plans in place to demo it. Why would they be getting rid of this place? Both attorneys have an extensive array of investments: law firms, pharmaceuticals, casinos, labs, and cold storage. What doesn't come up are the aircraft charter or Guatemalan House of Culture on their list of investments. And here are some other businesses that the Girardi family's invested in. All Thomas Girardi, director at Spectrum Laboratories, director at Unilever Capital Corporation. I'm sure there's nothing to look at there, right? Hawaii Auto Associates, Aztecs Pharmaceuticals, G&G Skate Corporation. How about that? And Boyd Gaming, and I have a feeling we're going to find something big there. Girardi's investments have been suspected of being connected to human trafficking, MK Ultra, organ harvesting, genetic modification, cloning, etc. He also has very close ties with the Clintons and Claire Bronfman. Yeah, he's a big-time supporter. Now, this Mr. Sanchez is also involved with this group right here. I've got it turned into Sunshine Yoga, but it's actually called Sunshine Behavior Services. And let's take a look at what their mission statement is. What are these guys about? Well, the mission of Sunshine Behavior Services, LLC, is to help clients create the most comfortable, peaceful, and nurturing life possible for children with different abilities. Okay, so these guys are just a bunch of philanthropists. I think you're starting to get the idea. I also want to point out that this Mr. Sanchez is involved with this Continental Transportation Services, as well as this Bogarin Cold Storage. And Bogarin is a trucking group. Here it is right here. So we got a trucking group that does cold storage, and we indeed see Eduardo G. Sanchez's name as a registered agent right here. Okay, so you got this guy that's all involved with the kids, also likes to get involved in medical equipment, and also likes to get involved with trucking and cold storage. I'll let you mull that around a little bit in your head. And for those of you who are not picking up what I'm putting down, what we are finding is that a lot of these people who are involved in these big organizations, particularly foundations, ones that work with the children, oftentimes are somehow related into shipping. And of course, what we're really talking about here is human trafficking. Now, I want you to understand very clearly here that I am not accusing Mr. Sanchez or Mr. Girardi of this, but I find this very interesting. After all, this is where we saw this operation, right? Possible cartel ties. Yeah, these guys may be washing some money too. This rabbit hole goes very deep and could end up being far greater than the Epstein-Nexium discoveries. The likelihood that 40+ highly trained operators just so happen to breach the very building owned by Girardi with these connections is about zero. More to follow.
America! Oh.
Moving on to the activity in Los Angeles. Now, we've been speculating all week. What was it? What happened? What did they pull out of that building? Well, one thing that I did notice, and that my source actually pointed out to me as well, was that all of the official activity was in Long Beach. That's where all the pretty videos came. That's where the chopper was that was filming it. That's where the sanctioned media took place. That's where it was, in Long Beach. But all of the cell phone video is from LA, and that's from the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, this right here is the Port of Los Angeles. Very interesting. Now, we're going to cycle back to the Port of Los Angeles at the end of this discussion. But here we have some new videos from Los Angeles. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Just thought you might want to see that. Now, here we go back to the video of the special ops guys carrying whatever it was out of that building, perhaps in hazmat suits, perhaps some type of high-value target, maybe a biological or radiological, something like that. Let's take a look. Okay, so we can see they are coming down Wilshire Boulevard, I believe. Right there, that building with that outcropping up top, that's the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, right directly across from them is the law offices of Girardi, the guy who owns the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, those guys are coming out, jumping in their helos, and then it's the second group that comes out carrying the potentially biological high-value target. But they jump in, they get out, and then they take off. Now, here comes the stragglers. Now, the next group of choppers that are just coming up Wilshire Boulevard, these are the guys that are going to be carrying out that high-value target. They're going to land, and then they're going to bring it out. And then here comes round two. This is the second group of choppers. They're going to land right there again in front of the Guatemalan House of Culture. And this is that big boy. That big chopper with all that special stuff. These are an elite team right here. And here they come, carrying that high-value target. Wearing what people have told me they believe are biological suits. Now, my sources told me that this group of people, they are not performing the drill. The training is in Long Beach, and that's why the Long Beach stuff has come out from the media. This stuff right here was never meant to be filmed. It was supposed to be the real operation, while Long Beach was the distraction. Now, the Guatemalan House of Culture is apparently scheduled to be demolished next month. And the high-value target that they took out is supposed to be some type of Plan Z, like I've theorized in the past. Now, the guys doing this operation, this is supposed to be a private military unit that is controlled exclusively by the president. They took the best of the best special ops guys, they put them together, and they used the organization of this new Space Force that President Trump has created to align all of these guys, all of the best of the best special ops guys from all of these other places, and they brought them together, and the president is in control of all of them. Now, they are removing a high-value biological target that was meant to be inside that building when it was demolished. When that happened, it would have spread whatever it was, Ebola, something horrible. It would have spread it all across the city, and there would have been an outbreak here in America. But that's the story. That's the story that I was told. Now let's keep taking a look. So here we have Girardi Reese. That is that building right there. And this is the Guatemalan House of Culture. This is Wilshire Boulevard, which is where those helos landed. And this is that building I showed pictures of. Actually, it will be later in the video now that I've recut this. Of the sides of the building, the windows that have all been blown out because they did an extraction. They went in, they breached, then they extracted that biological target that was inside that building. And right here, Mil-Spec Ops Monkey says, what are the odds that the very building where we saw the Mil-Op training take place is owned by lawyer Thomas Girardi, the guy who was handling the Allison Mack and Keith Raniere trafficking case? Remember that. I said that the other night. Girardi is the lawyer for Allison Mack and Keith Raniere, NXIVM. This was the Plan Z for the deep state, for the D's, for the Hillerats, for the Democrats, the deep state. This was their plan Z. They were going to use it to completely wipe out America because they know that they are on their last leg. Here we have some more graphics that are spectacular. Just pointing out these things here on the street so that they can match it to Google Maps right here. This, again, is the Guatemalan House of Culture. It's 1701 Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. Some more information about Thomas Girardi. Thomas Vincent Girardi was born on June 3rd, 1939 in Denver, Colorado. He was famous for that PG&E case, the Aaron Brockovich. He's the lawyer from Aaron Brockovich. Did you guys know that Albert Finney, the man who played him in Aaron Brockovich, died this day? On the day they did this raid, he died? What do you think the chances of that are? Very interesting. All right, so now here, this is a building that was torn down that would have been right here, but that is the corner of that building, they're saying. There it is, right there on Google Maps. There is the front of it right there. This is where they came out. These are the pictures that I showed, which are all boarded up. This is completely blown out now because they did the extraction. Looks like one time this was the Global Lighting Organization. And here is the Guatemalan House of Culture on Google Maps. Right there. There's Wells Fargo. There's the building that they evac that stuff out of. Now, apparently, there's a metro line that runs directly underneath it. That's the red line right here. And this is the Standard Hotel. Standard Hotel, subway, tunnels, Guatemalan House of Culture, ending right there at Wilshire in Vermont, in Los Angeles, California. Here is another excellent graphic showing this off. That's where the Black Hawk landed. That's Wells Fargo. Right here. This is the Guatemalan House of Culture. That was the glow lighting right there. And then here is Girardi Reese. Here we've got some more pictures for you. Wells Fargo again. Live on the ground. These guys went in there and they figured it out. That is the helo. There it is landing on the top of a building, looks like. And there it is in the light of day. Just so you guys can get a good view. All right, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there is the high-value target. That biological. I swear to God, guys, I can't tell you who told me this. This person is a decorated military veteran. All right? This is an elite force of soldiers put together to serve at the pleasure of the president. They sent them in because they needed to have total and complete alliance with the president. They could not afford to send in deep state people to even have the chance that these guys would be deep state. So they went in, they got this out, and they saved the day because this building is going to be demolished next month. The other building right next to it has already been torn down. There it is, 1150. Gone. This is the company Glow Lighting that was right next to it. And for this chopper dig, he says, in this video I link here, 11 men can clearly be counted leaving from a building at 1150 Wilshire Boulevard. Follow along with the pictures for my deductions. 2 of the men are carrying a box of some kind. There are 4 to 5 choppers in the bid. So is it possible one of them landed in front of Wells Fargo? 1150 Wilshire is the weird-looking building with the roll-up door. More digging is required, but Google Maps said it belonging to Global Lighting Organization, which looks like an importer of Chinese LED tubes. Incidentally, neither LAPD or SWAT have Black Hawk helicopters. These are Black Hawk helicopters. These have the refueling probe attached, clearly visible. Black Hawks can carry 11 men, unlike LAPD choppers. Now, we know that this is a Black Hawk because we've already seen this. I have been told that these guys are an elite force, and they removed a high-value biological target. Now, don't forget, NXIVM. NXIVM is deeply involved with this. They are deeply involved with the deep state. They are deeply involved with Adam Schiff. Remember, Mac is naming names, big names in Hollywood, government, local, federal, Proof, the Standard Hotel, that helicopter crash, all related. Future will prove past. Adam Schiff. Feeling okay, buddy? Why is the Mexico border Long Beach port so important? TikTok, LLC. Adam Schiff and Glenn Simpson had that undisclosed meeting in Aspen last year. Why do you think it was so important for Adam Schiff? He could not afford to have his stuff figured out. It's not just the one thing, it's everything. It's the drugs, it's the trafficking. It is that deep state, Plan Z. Now, going back to Long Beach, track all suicides. Example 1, think Spade. Trace to Children's Foundation, New York. Trace to import, export. Trace to China, Mexico, to Long Beach. Trace sale, spinoff of company. Trace to Clinton Foundation. Trace to port, security clearance, profile, L5. Who granted? Hussein, HRC. Expect a lot more. Adam Schiff. Feeling okay, buddy? Why is the Mexico border, Long Beach port so important? Tick-tock. Now, why did I want to make sure that we highlighted that port and the P-8 Poseidon over it? Because the feds just seized 1.7 tons of meth and other drugs at Long Beach port. 6 people have been arrested after federal agents seized more than 1.7 tons of drugs stashed inside audio speakers that were being shipped from Long Beach to Australia. The shipment included 3,810 pounds of methamphetamine, along with 56 pounds of cocaine and 11.5 pounds of heroin, federal authorities said. Officers with U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized 3 shipping containers containing the drugs on January 11th at the Los Angeles Long Beach seaport. Following an investigation, federal authorities in Australia this week arrested 2 U.S. citizens and 4 Australian citizens. Federal officials say the seizure dealt a significant blow to the drug trafficking organization behind the shipments. Along with our law enforcement partners here and around the world, we continue in a day-to-day battle against the blight of methamphetamine that continues to devastate our communities, said Joseph Macias, Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations, Los Angeles. Through a collaborative effort, pooling our information, resources, and expertise, we are keeping this dangerous contraband from reaching our streets and potentially saving lives. These operations took place at the beginning of the week. We had the stuff going on in Long Beach. We had the P-8 Poseidon circling over the port of Long Beach right there. And then late in the week, after the seizure from the Guatemalan House of Culture, with a potentially biological or radiological device, we have the seizure of nearly 2 tons of drugs. All right, so this right here is why this is so important. This is why it was highlighted to us previously as this port, this area being so important. You think Adam Schiff doesn't have his fingers involved in this? Besides having his fingers involved in NXIVM, the Standard Hotel, all of this stuff in California, you better have another think. All right, now from the outlaw Josie Wales, this is incredible. That plant, no coincidence.